Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Afterparty, where we all saw each other in Meat Space just a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh, we did.
What? Why?
Yeah.
What were we doing? I don't remember.
Pie eating contest.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
That was a good time.
Yeah, I learned that Brandon is actually has a human form, and I was pretty excited about that. I thought he was kind of just like, like a ghost Pokemon where it's ambiguous, but he's a real person.
Yeah, I verified that Brandon has no smell. None.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. I saw Julia's hair in person. That was neat.
It was
That was
great.
true.
Even
Yeah.
better
Julia's
than on
hair
video.
looks even better in person.
Yeah.
And Amanda, you were there? That was cool.
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore white after Labor Day. Embarrassing.
It's pretty rude of you.
But guys, there's not enough time on the clock to talk about Eric's and my tighten ups. That's our tighten nuptials.
Ooh, I hate
Our
that.
our extremely
I loved your
tight-
wedding. I hated that.
Thank you.
Tight nuptials feels worse.
Our sick nups. Is that better?
Our great nups.
I like it
Smell
all.
it.
Keep saying it, Amanda.
Thank you, because we had an incredibly event-filled 3 weeks of Join the Party. So
That's
shall
true.
we talk about it?
We shall. Let's go. What
Let's do
happened?
it.
We've been away for 9 weeks.
Let's talk about it. So the first thing that happened, no big deal, was the conclusion of the Woods arc, where, of course, Les challenged the head of the fairies to ferry to Cathalon, and other kinds of things happened as well. So let's get into it. First, players and Eric, any thoughts and feelings about the Woods arc as a whole? In the last After Party, we're like, you'll see what happens. So what happened? How did we feel about that arc?
It's scary. I also think it was scary. It was scary. We were in the woods and we were lost and it was scary, okay?
I'm gonna start using that as a pull quote for the campaign.
Scary?
Like once we're in campaign 3, it's like, all right, so in campaign 1 it was kind of fantasy inspired, and campaign 2 was like superheroes and stuff, and Julia said the campaign was scary.
Yeah, it was. I also, Eric, we're going to talk about the mechanic that you didn't get to use, but
Yes.
I felt a little disappointment that we didn't get to really use it, except for the fact that I pulled a little boy's soul out of his body.
You sure did. You sure did do that.
Let's start there. Eric, what did you have planned, and how did we fuck it up?
We did too good. We did too good at this baby game, and Eric didn't get to use his cool mechanic.
I know. I've heard from Brandon that this is a bad, stupid baby game. Monster of the Week. Evil Hat, if you're listening.
Just to be clarified, did not say it was bad or stupid. I said it was a baby game for beginners.
Easy game for babies.
It was
yes.
an easy game for babies. So you were all so good at statisticianing, at statistics, and rolling a d6 to evoke what events happened. I also want to say I did not fiddle with the table on this, which sometimes I have to do because I only made like a 1d6 table. And sometimes like people roll 5 5s in a row. So I didn't have to like fiddle with it all that much. But this all happened very organically. Like Phoebe running into Charles, Carrie Ann running into Steven, and Les running into Mavis Beacon. That was all very organic.
I'm sorry, Eric. I don't mean to stop you, but Mavis Beacon, who teaches typing.
Yes, Brandon, thank you. Mavis Beacon, who teaches typing. So that was all organic. And then the point when Les and Phoebe ran into each other with different boos, that was very organic just from the way that I'd rolled it. Because one of the things I had on here was you are replaced with a robotic changeling. That was something that I was trying to get across because, introducing Mavis Beacon first was wonderful because it kind of established that she had this like mechanic background, this robotics background. And then there's something wrong with Mavis Beacon who teaches typing, right? And that was like the fairy glamour, which I've learned from listening to Spirits so much. Their ability to like control, Spirits podcast is a boozy dives in myth and legends from a feminist and queer perspective. So I really wanted that glamour that like Greenbrook, as we saw, he's just kind of a dweeb. but when he's challenged, he has to do the challenge, but he can just kind of be owned. But, his whole thing was control over people, and Mavis was involved in this in some way. So Boo, there were 2 Boos, right? And that's how we figured it out. And Phoebe, with decisive and dangerous action, pulled souls out of people's bodies.
I think it's fine.
It was incredible. So here is how the robotic changeling move would have worked. If this is in a group of 2 or more, swap out the youngest character. I don't remember, I asked all 3 of you a bunch of questions, and one was about all of your birthdays.
Yeah. And I was like, this is going to be not good for me.
If that character is a player character, pass a note to this person that says, you are now a changeling version of yourself. Act natural, but your goal is to make the other characters as lost as possible. Whenever you roll, take -3. If the other characters figure out this is a changeling, or after 5 minutes, your real player can make a kick-some-ass move as the real character to break out of the ropes that are tying them up.
That's so cool.
I wish that happened.
Eric, if you had given me that, I would have been so awkward.
Oh, yeah, no, that would have been fine. I mean, that would have been great.
But it would have been so good with your burgeoning crush that we learned more about in the Errands. God, it would have been good.
Yeah. So if this happens to a singular person, or to an NPC, I kind of control it, or I did it yourself, you can still pass that note along, and then you narrate them running into a different character. But then later on, when you run into the field, that's when you reveal there are two of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was also possible. All changelings have the same powers and attacks as the character, but their harm capacity is 2 because they're just a little robot. So if they got hurt, they could have just gotten destroyed. So I understand that this was the most... I don't want to say boring, but I guess like hands-off version of the robotic changeling that I controlled the NPC. I do want to say, though, I did not know Boo was going to come on this trip with you. I thought I definitely want an NPC to come with you 3. But there was a thing about something had happened. I don't remember because it was so long ago. But like something had happened that it encouraged me that Boo was hiding in someone's backpack.
Well,
that I thought that would be a funny move.
Didn't I do my start of session move and I didn't get help and I got a mission that was complicated?
Yes, I think it was that. Yeah.
It was Les's backpack, and then Carrie Ann, like you were very focused on trying to fix your status with the whatever the word is in your thing.
The sect. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So because of that, that's why I put Boo in the backpack. And unfortunately, Boo was the youngest, so that's what happened. But it's still, I mean, I thought it was incredibly fun, and I'm really happy that this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry for Carrie Ann's status with her sect, but it was incredibly fun.
No, it was delightful.
It worked out really well. Like I think like it was a nice symbiosis of like what the character would have done anyway, and also like what the mechanics dictated. So I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
totally. Carl's chaotic entity wants to know, hey, Mavis Beacon is definitely the supposedly dead monster hunting tea made of Crudo and Friday, right?
Who can say?
Who
truly can say?
Our first question, who can say?
I forgot about this from last time. I think that Carl's got this in right after we recorded in September. So I really wanted to include it because it had 16 eye emojis on Discord.
Damn.
And I felt like it had to include it.
Incredible.
Oh, you know what we can say about Mavis Beacon though?
She teaches
typing.
She teaches typing. Yeah.
The only thing that I wish that I could have
sorry, Eric, you gotta stop because Julia, let me take that clean for you so you can make it sound like I got the joke at the same time. She teaches typing, right? Okay, thanks.
The only thing.
Thanks. Just cut that out.
You got it.
Stop being funnier than everyone else. The only thing that I wish I had figured out a way to get it across was like say, oh, Boo was a robotic changeling. It's hard to express to someone who knows a lot about monsters that they would pick up like this mystery you do in the game. So I'm just like, hey, Les, you know this. And I wish I was trying to figure out a better way to do it. But at the same time, I'd have been like, yeah, it's fine. I thought it was a cool thing to say.
It was.
Yeah, that doesn't strike me as clunky or, hand on the wheel at all.
I agree.
We also got a lot of questions, Phoebe, about Charles the Moose. So from your perspective, Julia, and from Phoebe's perspective, what was actually meeting this decomposing carcass of a moose like?
Emotional, for
Yes.
sure. And I think it was really like gratifying storytelling wise that Phoebe at her lowest then got to meet Charles and feel the embodiment of the things that she has been feeling and seeing it in person.
Shout out to the Dice Man. The Dice want to tell a story just as much as we do.
That was so good. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
That was fun. Being able to do that in person was really nice. And just like, yeah, and like I feel like I've known what Charles looked like the entire time. And I'm really excited that I got to explain that to you. And like, sorry that I explained mushrooms again.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
hey,
No, I love
fungi are
mushrooms.
cool and weird. I don't know what to tell you.
It's also been an interest of Julia's, and as long as Julia has been our co-player on Join the Party, mushrooms have figured into our campaign. So
I
listen.
legitimately sent Brandon about 6 pictures of mushrooms before you guys got on the call. It's like, look at these cool mushrooms I saw.
I actually had a question from Paul for Brandon and Eric here about Charles, which is, was Charles always going to be a moose? Did Brandon just call a hell of a shot, or did the players manifest this by referring to him as a moose? So how did that moment go?
I will respectfully sip my coffee while you answer, Eric.
Oh my god. This was all the way back in, what was it, episode 5 or 6 when Phoebe, it was like a mystery. Charles was trying to get her to figure out what animal Charles was, and Julia really threw me for a loop when Julia was like, hey Les, what animal do you think this is?
It was what's the top of the food chain?
Yeah, what animal's at the top of the food chain?
Right. And I wrote a message to Brandon to say out loud.
Yeah, Eric slacked me because I was like, I don't know, like a fucking lion or some shit. And, yeah, Eric slacked me the answer. So I sounded really confident, but that's just called acting, baby.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
You
the
know
magic
me?
of editing, my friends, is that you didn't know that I told it to Brandon, but Brandon said it, and that was pretty cool.
It's the
But no,
power
I've
of the
known that-
edit, baby.
Julia,
Oh, yeah. But listen, that's what we do. Like, the whole thing of Join the Party is we are trying to create the feeling of being at a table and being immersed in a story and telling it with your friends at the same time. And it's going to sound and be a little different than the magic of being in the room with somebody. And so cutting out, Brandon and Eric doing this and then cutting out the minute and a half it took to do that gives you the feeling of this like wonderful moment where you lock eyes across a table and one of you texts each other and passes a note and then one of you go, a moose. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it is something I really value, and a part of the audio medium that I think is really exciting is that you're all at the table with us, but the table is endlessly big and yet you have perfect hearing. I almost said view, but you have a perfect earshot of what we're all doing.
this was also really important, I think, to Julia, to you creating your character.
Yeah.
Like, we intentionally did the spooky and not any of the other magic classes because you wanted, like, a specter out there or, like, a creature that was affiliated with your magic, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think I requested, I was like, I don't know, like a fucking magic wolf or something that gives me
Yes, you said a wolf.
quest.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was really cool. So that's why I always knew that Charles was a moose. And that's also a thing that I learned at camp, that moose is the largest fauna that currently exists. It's like a holdover from the megafauna of the prehistoric age. So I knew Les would know that fact. I wanted Brandon as Les to say the word megafauna, and that was really important to me. So I'm glad that all kind of came together.
Did you know that meese also live alone? I didn't realize that. They're
Aw.
solitary animals. I went on
Aw, I
a
didn't know
like a
that.
nature preserve tour thing, and they have one moose, and she lives alone. And then we didn't even get to see her because she was so solitary. She was hiding.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Brandon, what does a nature preserve taste like? Is it good on bread? Is it?
What was the other joke? That was good. What was your
I
other
can't.
joke?
I don't remember what the other show was. I thought I had two.
He
but I only
blacked
one.
out only remembering that joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Julia, please cut out the 10 minutes of me staring forward.
Okay, I'll shorten it a little bit.
Yeah, just a
All
little
right.
bit.
Brandon, I would also like to know what your and Les's plans are with your new role as president of the fairies. It was basically forced on you by Carrie Ann because she did not want it. But I'm glad that you get this opportunity.
The fairy. I can't do a
Oh my
JFK
God.
accent.
I want the fairies to party platter.
Body platter.
Yeah, that's good.
There you go.
That's it. That's it.
I'm gonna say dirty water is platform number 1. Platform number 2 is free skies, and platform number 3 is all the kids you could want. A child in every pot.
Jesus.
All right.
Christ.
Incredible.
Good.
I'm excited for Les to follow through on that. I had no idea how that mystery was going to end, can I tell you? Like, I knew that there was going to be a challenge at the end, because the whole thing about Greenbrook, and I had this all the way back from the first mystery,
Yes.
was that if you challenged Greenbrook, he had to take it. And I had a bunch of, like, thoughts that were going to happen. Like, you could challenge Greenbrook to a water slide dive competition.
You did try to suggest that to us.
That was one of them. That was ended up being like the 10th event or something, or the 9th event.
Oh, yeah. And then, but just, like, throwing the decathlon together was so funny.
Yeah.
And how the fairy decathlon has 11 events. We just did that. And yeah, I had no idea how I wanted to end it, so I'm like, fuck it, we're doing an 80s montage at the end.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was really funny. But I mean, you don't have to, especially with Monster of the Week, you don't have to know how it ends. You should just follow your heart.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe that will come back to play at some point. Who can say? I don't know.
Who can
can
say?
say?
Brandon, why would you lie and say it would come back? It's not coming back. Don't do that.
The F in JFK stands for fairy.
Oh. Brandon, I thought it stood for frogicide because I have a bunch of questions here about Phoebe and the frog in the Errands.
Yeah, let's talk
What
about
up?
it.
Julia, tell me about your plan to kill this frog once and for all.
So in the beginning of the woods, I had suggested, hey, I want to kill this frog. And it just like didn't really pan out. And I had it in my mind that like, I don't think Phoebe would tell you two about it because she was concerned that you weren't on board as much as she was about killing the frog. And also it felt personal to her, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. I will say that we did entertain that in the beginning of the woods.
Yeah.
Like, that was all legitimate. And it's because you didn't roll well that nothing happened.
Yeah.
And also because you just decided to charge into the dungeon again to see what would happen.
Yes.
So, like, that was 100% real. Like, we could have done something else. Or I could have, like, trashed that whole mystery and would have done something else. So that was all legit.
We had like a player discussion that we decided
we
to
did.
do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remembered something that we had discussed in a previous after party, Eric, where you were talking about the mechanics of Monster of the Week and how like the only way of defeating a monster is really like knowing its weaknesses and knowing how best to attack it like strategy wise. So a big thing for me was I wanted to go into the errands prepared. So you and I had a couple of discussions about, okay, how would Phoebe go about actually taking care of this fucking frogman? What kind of big magic stuff would Phoebe need in order to trap and bind and banish him?
Yeah, I actually have our Slack conversation
Excellent.
up right now. I guess I always ask every once in a while. I'm like, hey, if you want anything, just let me know. And Julia was like, oh, yeah, I've been kicking this thing around. So I don't know if we want to read this verbatim, if you want me to summarize it.
Go for it.
Okay. Do you want to be Julia, Amanda?
I think Julia should be Julia.
Well, Julia, I mean, I have it in front of me on my computer.
Yeah,
Unless
no,
Julia
Amanda,
wants to
play
scream
me.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna play this as if Brandon is playing me. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that. I don't have that skill. I can't go that level of
That's
steps.
too
You
many
have the
exception
range,
layers.
darling. You have the range.
Oh, okay.
Wait, should you be Julia and I should be you?
Oh yeah, let's
Yes,
do that.
that's
No,
even
that's better.
Okay.
Let's do
Okay,
that.
so we can start here.
All right, Eric Slover, 10:14 a.m. Hey, let me know if you want something to record something for Phoebe.
10:21. Yes, hi. I want to use some big magic to summon and bind and potentially kill that goddamn frog for crimes against nature and being a little bastard. It's how doth the crocodile time.
10:27 a.m. Ha! Let's go find that frog.
10:33. And Phoebe's going to make it a solo mission because after that pep talk from Chuck, she's feeling more confident, in parentheses, and also a payoff for her dark side getting nastier, in parentheses.
10:34. Oh, hell yes. For big magic, you're going to have to do some extra stuff to summon and bind, but could be fun.
Julia, 10:40. I figured. Just let me know what I got to do, but I want to keep it a secret from the other players until the very end if possible.
Eric, 10:40. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the things would be, one, since Frederick is a house demon, it lives in the big girl's cabin, so you got to go there.
Julia, 10:41.
Eric, 10:42. And there will be campers there. Two, Frederick travels with its ooze protector, so you can assume you got to deal with that. Three, as a house demon, you can only bind Frederick using some materials from the house it currently inhabits, which is lucky for you because in order to keep the Camp-Paign spirit, they use some local wood that was harvested from some fallen trees at camp, the Savage tree.
Julia, 10:45. Oh man, nature's coming for this frog.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Julia. You might have noticed that from what Amanda read was that I went, oh hell yes, at 10:34, and then at 10:39 I told you what big magic was. I had to make it up in those 5 minutes.
Good job, bud.
I had to make up what you had to do. So that was wild. I did not know that this was coming, and it was just Friday morning, and I'm like, yeah, I guess here's a big magic ritual for you, Julia.
Yay.
That was wild.
Well, it seemed flawless.
I'm really happy with how it came out, and the Savage tree was something I had to make up. Right at the end was that the Savage tree was like a combination between a maple tree and a willow, and that was the tree that was outside of the cafetorium. But it was a hardwood tree, so the whole thing about Phoebe using the squirrel to get it down was that like you couldn't just hack it down. Because Julia at some point said, I have a big knife! And I'm like, I don't think a kitchen knife is going to make it happen for you.
Is the Savage tree a real tree, or is that something you made up?
No, I made that up. I think
From
Savage.
his brain, Brandon.
I think Savage means, if I remember correctly, tree in Esperanto or something, or forest in Esperanto. So I use that.
Cool. Love it.
Julia, TJ wanted to know how high is Phoebe flying after that badass display?
So high. The best. Just living the dream.
I just love that you were on like an RPG side quest in the middle, in like the middle of our podcast.
It was very important to me, you know? And I also, like I said, I wanted to keep it a secret until the very end because I wanted you guys to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes.
No, it was great. And it gave me and Brandon the opportunity to talk about Les's feelings.
Yes. Eric,
Incredible.
would you say that Julia was on a twitch.tv/ATP side quest?
I would say that. That's good for you to say. Good
Cool,
plug, Brandon.
Cool.
Really quickly, just before we move on from this, I thought it was really funny that like when Julia would ask me a question, obviously I knew it was coming, but like when I felt Brandon and Amanda go, what? What? Why are you asking me these questions?
My favorite line from that episode is Amanda going, was I supposed to have a Tuesday activity planned?
I know, because I'm just like, all right, I guess Springer takes off on Tuesdays. Yeah, I mean, that's justified for that whole thing.
Julia just made up Tuesday, and then I just yes and Tuesday, and then Amanda was like, what the fuck is Tuesday?
Why does everyone have Tuesday activities?
Yep.
My favorite thing is that I didn't understand the fucking baking soda. Everyone got it, except for me until the last fucking second.
Yeah. The whole thing was great. I was really stoked on the whole thing, especially in the beginning when Phoebe was in around the stuff with the cafetorium in the first episode of the Errands, when the whole conversation was Springer and then you stealing something from the cafetorium, and then Jenny and Conway looking at you like you were a fucking weirdo. That was probably my favorite moment. That was my favorite moment from that episode.
Jenny's out there dating a Kelpie and is calling me weird. Fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
Kids being hypocrites? Weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
weird.
seriously. Like, Phoebe's so strange talking to squirrels. Come on, girl. Shh. Shh. The petting your maid.
And what does the Kelpie sound like, Eric? Thank you.
Clip clop.
Clip clop, clip clop.
Clip clop. Clip
Hey,
clop.
Hey, Julia, cut that out for me so I can put it on the soundboard. Thank you.
You got a bug?
No. Oh, piss.
Brandon, tell me about Les's emotional journey over these episodes.
Yeah, Brandon, tell me about Les's emotional journey.
Yeah, Brandon, tell me about Russ's emotional journey.
Well, I also enjoyed at the same time that Carrie Ann's emotional journey sort of intersected. 'cause
Brandon's fucking not going to work. You're on notice,
I'm
Brandon.
not going to. I just mean, like, we both had emotional moments at that last part, and then
We did.
Les got to, like, put a backseat to his and listen to Carrie Ann for a second, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, and I think Carrie Ann was her most clear-eyed and listening to somebody else that she's been on campaign, frankly, in giving you some advice on how to apologize.
To build off of Brandon's point, but we are going to go back for Brandon to talk about Liz's emotional journey. It was interesting because we usually don't have multiple characters in their feelings. I feel like we only have one. I can think of a lot of times in campaign 2 when one character was in their feelings, but we finally had an opportunity for two PCs to deal with their shit at the same time, which I thought was really wonderful.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. And I just love the visual that you made Amanda Carrie Ann on top of the slide, just like kicking her feet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Les puts his heart on his sleeve. So yeah, I mean, I think like Les has been feeling the complex child emotions of scared and enamored with Phoebe for the entire time, you know? And
Sure.
I think he had to figure out what he was scared of and why. And he did eventually, and figured out that it was his own shit, you know,
Mhm.
and not anything to do with Phoebe actually. So I think through the help of Carrie Ann that, you know, he worked it out. But also being a preteen, a young kid, he doesn't know how to actually like make it better, especially
Right.
with
Oh, that was so funny.
yeah, especially with someone of the opposite gender or another gender.
This is also on the heels of the, terrifying being face to face with a Bigfoot. Like that was the last after party, but for Les, it was days ago.
Yeah.
And so coming face to face with weirdness and kind of figuring out what you want to do and move forward with, and like what is a weirdness you want to kind of negotiate with, I imagine is a big moment.
Yeah, like realigning the priorities of like what's actually weird and what to trust and what not to trust. Yeah, all that kind of stuff wrapped up into that.
Yeah. I think it was fun being able to do this in Monster of the Week because, as I was saying, like, I have been trying to view this as, like, a season of television. And, like, this is, like, Les's character journey, as expressed in the background of a few episodes so far.
Mhm.
And this, like, these have all kind of, like, I see the path that Les has gone on the entire time. And I think that in this campaign, it's easier to put an obvious symbol down of character growth. Like literally that's Charles for Phoebe, and literally it's the Bigfoot / Phoebe for Les. And then literally it's Avery for Carrie Ann. Like it's been very nice being able to put things that are so like clearly like this is what you look like and you have had to stare at it. That was the whole point of the Puzzle Cleric.
Right.
Was like, you know, there's always those episodes of TV shows where it's like the characters reckon with themselves. You know what I mean? And it's fun being able to just continue forward with that.
100%. So I think we have to relive the lowest point of Carrie Ann's life, which is rolling that 2 to Director Lowe.
Oh, buddy.
It was so
Nothing.
good.
I just want to say nothing is funnier than teenagers talking to adults badly. Nothing is funnier.
I'm curious, how did that feel for you, Amanda? Like to have Eric play acting, chiding you.
I remember in Camp-Paign 1, I would often feel like responsible and like I had failed when my dice rolls didn't go as planned. When, you know, I wanted to do something as a player, when Inara wanted to do something as a character and the dice didn't let it happen, I felt like I had let down the party or the story by like not like helping that thing occur. In Monster of the Week, I'm fucking jazzed for failed rolls. Not just because I get to mark experience, which is a metaphor I have explained to my therapist a lot, but also because it is just as interesting, and I am truly like have no emotional stake in what the dice roll ends up being. And so I think Eric acted it very well. I think everything the director said was completely justified and understandable, and also, you know, was a useful reminder, I think, for Carrie Ann, where if the director had said like, oh, don't worry, he's a liar, I got it, thank you, you're the best, we'll figure this out, I don't know what kind of doubt might have remained in her mind, or if she would have just kind of taken it at face value and moved on with her life. But this is the way more interesting option for the story and for me.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm trying to think of how those roles would have went. Is like the failure was the director turning on you. I feel like if you had rolled
angering the target, yeah,
I feel like if you had rolled a success, the director would have confessed to you that the Alicanto did eat the whistle. But I feel like she would have lied to you if you had had a middling success. So it's like, it's kind of funny how that's just how it happened. It's like those were the 3 choices and that's what ended up happening.
Yeah. And now Carrie Ann is left sort of for the first time without unquestioning devotion to camp. And I am really interested to see how that goes. Not least of all because she is faced with somebody directly afterward in episode 2 who did die at camp. And Eric, my question for you is, did you plan Avery before Carrie Ann said her dreams to die at camp a couple episodes ago?
Also, I want to know, were you looking at a stack of Avery paper when you named Avery, or was that...
Okay, so I want to touch on that first because there's a reason why I did that, and I did it similarly with Mavis Beacon. There is a moment in Gravity Falls, I don't know if you all remember, but there is a one where like they go into...
Spoilers for Gravity Falls.
Spoilers for Gravity Falls. It's one of the Monster of the Week episodes. Honestly, it's not that big, but like Dipper and Wendy go into like this secret... Like they find a secret passage inside of a tree, and they go and there's like a lab down there. There is a guy down there who's pretending to be the writer of the journal. Right. And when he's down there, they're looking around, and then Dipper picks up this, like, I think it's an old frozen pizza box, and it's like for Red Baron pizza. And then he realizes that the quote unquote journal writer and the Red Baron have the same face. And it's because the guy down there is a shapeshifter monster. And I love that. That has stuck with me so much as a reveal. And I've been alluding to it both with Mavis Beacon and with Avery of we don't know what their real names are because they might have responded to a piece of media or an object that had a name on it that they chose. So we don't know what Mavis Beacon's real name was. That was the whole glamour thing, was that she thinks she's Mavis Beacon who teaches typing, or maybe she is Mavis Beacon. Who knows? With Avery, I think Avery's been down there for so long, Avery does not know their own name. And that is what I was that was what I was alluding to. And I loved that so much. I wanted to put that final seed of doubt in your heads as you ran out.
Imagine if Eric had named Mavis Beacon Math Blaster.
Or Putt Putt.
Yeah, this is Putt Putt Goes to the Moon.
We have some excellent journalism here by Cat Owl Dolls, who says, I looked up Avery labels to find out how old that layer, like the sticky badges, of the wall was. So smart. Saw the original name of the company, and now I can't stop laughing. Eric, would you care to own up to what you did here?
I followed up with Cat Owl, and I looked up what it is. This is from the Wikipedia page. The company was founded in Los Angeles, California in 1935 as Come Clean Products.
Oh, no.
With K's.
Kumclean Kleen.
K-U-M?
K-U-M.
K-U-M, Brandon. K-U-M.
What?
Yep.
The name was changed to Avery Adhesives in 1937. Only lasted 2 years, folks.
Eric, what did you do?
I didn't do it. They looked it up.
Cat Owl uncovering journalism.
Hilarious.
You
Moment
did this
by
to
moment.
yourself,
Incredible.
Oh, no. Oh,
Before-
no.
Before we move on, I want to ask Amanda, how did you feel confronting a character who stayed at camp forever, one, and then two, stayed at camp forever because they didn't feel safe at home? And that's what I was trying to get across. But how did that look to you and to Carrie Ann?
No, definitely. I think Carrie Ann's first impression was that this was a potential threat. That a person, a creature embedded in the walls, all kinds of tools at their disposal. Is it a threat? Is it someone who needs help? And both of those things were kind of through her mind. And by the end, she realizes that Avery is not a threat, but also this is not necessarily this could be a natural extension of Carrie Ann's sort of dream, and on the heels of being yelled at by the director, of having to talk to Steven, of, so many truths being revealed, and realizing that the adults who run the place are kind of just adults and not unimpugnable gods and authority figures. It leaves her with a lot to think about. And I think her, sect mission of defend and uphold camp becomes a little bit murkier. Like, what exactly are you upholding? Is it following the rules? It never really has been. It's been like doing what I think is best for camp. But what does that mean? Is Avery being, trapped, or is Avery getting sustained by where they are? So a lot of questions and a lot of big feelings. And the initial thing was like, can I get something to help me? / am I going to be able to get out of here?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was, again, I was throwing a symbol at Carrie Ann and seeing what happened.
I mean, it's the most resonant possible thing for Carrie Ann to be looking at. So, yeah, I mean, the answer is like all the feelings.
I thought it was really great. It was very cinematic or TV writing to me, that Carrie Ann ran ahead and Les was figuring it out a little bit behind. That like Carrie Ann got like 5 minutes alone with Avery, and then Les showed up and was like, fuck! I thought that was so funny.
How dare you direct quote Les to me?
Whoa! Terrible! I hate it!
We had some questions from the audience, of course, about Avery. TJ wanted to know how Avery is existing.
Dark Souls magic.
Oh, okay.
Sure, that makes sense.
From
Dark Souls, from the video game. Yeah, it's because
we had to pay them a licensing fee. It was wild.
Yeah, Avery was supposed to be an Elden Ring, but I made them cut it.
And the question surgeon, Michelle Spurgeon, wants to know, how long has Avery been down there? Are they cursed? Are they related to Steven?
Good question. All good questions from the question surgeon. How long have they been down there? A long time. Are they cursed? No? Question mark. Are they related to Steven? No.
They've been down there for either 20 years or will be there for 20 more years.
Yes, exactly.
Magdalena wants to know, Eric, how long have you been waiting for players to ask an adult about the morning announcements and also to go under the gym? How did it feel when they did? How was it for the players? Are there more secrets about camp that they haven't found out yet? That's certainly yes.
Eric, what the fuck?
Yes, there is another question. Some other people has asked about John Bonez Bones, especially Kazzy, 3 cold bones in his trench coat, who said, "Is John Bonez Bones real?" Hey, here's the thing. John Bonez Bones. I don't know. What do you all think is John Bonez Bones? What do you think his deal is?
I think he's real, and the director forgot that he did that.
Yeah, I think he's real, and the director is just being silly for some reason. I don't know.
I don't want to say whether or not John Bonez Bones is real.
Okay.
I don't, because I like that it was the way that came off. I was such a perfect moment, I think, between Carrie Ann and the director. That Carrie Ann brought up a weird thing, and then the director was like, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah. Which she could say to anything Carrie Ann says for any number
Exactly.
of reasons. Yeah.
What I will say is that, you know, the problem I have of how to start episodes, and I really wanted to work on that during this campaign. I just came up with that framing device of John Bonez Bones in the moment when we started the first time I did it. So, like, I didn't know necessarily. I know now. I don't know if I want to say necessarily what I know, but I do have an answer for it. And I just think it's fun. I just honestly think it's fun that it's a question. Here's what I'll say. I always wanted the question to come up if John Bonez Bones was real.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But he's got to be real, because what are we putting? There's a suggestion box, like a question box. So either all the kids hear him and none of the adults do, and the adults are like, why are they putting questions in a box? Why is Carrie Ann writing on a waffle with a Sharpie? Yeah, so I don't know.
Is he making the announcements at dog whistle frequency? Have we thought about that?
Only people under the age of whatever could hear it.
Yeah, exactly 19K.
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's what's with John Bonez Bones. Like, I know the answer. Who knows, right? The wonderful thing about doing the world building game that we do is that I have a lot of secrets I get to bring back to you that a lot of y'all made up. Remember? Amanda made up below the gymnasium. So I was been waiting on that, but the way that Monster of the Week plays out is like you really only want to use one thing at a time. So I wanted to play that out. So yeah, there are plenty of secrets that are still at camp that we haven't touched on, and I'm glad that we had opportunities to run into some of this stuff. But again, it's like the world building game is divorced from the storytelling itself, and like it can only be triggered by the characters doing a thing,
Mm-hmm.
Is like, the whole point of playing a world building game is that no one has an ego because there's no character yet.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I find fun.
I will say, since Brandon introduced the How Doth the Little Crocodile game in the world building game, I have been wanting to use that for like a fucking creepy ass scene since the beginning. So Brandon, thank you for letting me do that.
Julia, you made me so happy. I smiled while editing it multiple times.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's wonderful because I also didn't have to do anything other than be a scared little frog.
Good.
Like, it was fun. It was really fun playing that scene out because I'm just like, well, Frederick's pissed. He's upset and he's scared.
I also, slightly unrelated, but I wish to go back to Carrie Ann for a second. I loved that scene and the way the dice roll went because of the ending of that episode, where we get a peek into the psyche of the director, where it was like, I don't know if you had always planned this, Eric, or you just did this in the moment, but like the fact that the director was like, now that I am director, like as if it had been her ambition for a long time and got it. And, now when the dog finally catches its tail, what do you do with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that little moment, that little parallelism.
Yeah, I mean, that's the structure of the TV show. I really wanted to put something in there. And also, like, this is the ambiguity. We can't forget that Steven foretold someone would turn on everyone else. And it could be the director. It could be any of the players. It could be any of the PCs. And I just don't want anyone to forget that kind of, like, nugget that runs through this entire season of television we're playing on the podcast.
Could be Tater Tot.
Could be Tater Tot.
Fuck.
Could be.
Yeah. Listen, maybe Tater Tot's, I don't know, like a creature and kills everyone.
Probably.
Or something. Yeah.
Well, awkwardly, I made some twice fried tater tots for appetizers, so I'm going to run into the kitchen and get them.
Yeah!
I'm so hungry.
Thank you.
Be right back.
Hey, it's Eric. I don't know if there's something about like the global supply chain or maybe this is just getting older, but it's very funny aging into certain companies. Like all of a sudden, all I want my entire closet to be is full of Land's End and LL Bean because it's like it's sturdy, it's well made. And like, listen, I've been going to American Eagle for like 15 years now, but at some point I'm just like, can I wear these anymore? Are these shirts well made? It's like I want all of the shirts that a grandpa wears because it's like soft and cuddly. So welcome to the mid-roll. I hope you can find a flannel that is sturdy and will last for many winters to come. First and foremost, shout out to our newest patrons, Evan and Kimberly. The party never stops over on Patreon, where we have our patron-only Discord, which, as always, is the most wonderful place on the internet. At just $5 a month, you get access to the Discord, plus party planning audio, which you might remember is the Patreon-exclusive podcast where the Join the Party hosts just kind of hang out. In the most recent episode, Brandon and Julia just reviewed Amanda and my wedding. It was very fun. Thank you so much for doing that. If you want to spend a little bit more quiche on us, there's ad-free episodes at $8 a month, video content at $10 a month, and more and more and more. Please go check it out. It's what lets us do this full time as we are cooking up incredible stuff for the future of Join the Party. Patreon.com/jointhepartypod. It is a bright and shining morning for you to check out another show here in the Multitude Collective. I think you should check out Exolore. Have you ever wondered what life would be like on a planet different from our own, or how writers create your favorite fictional worlds? Well, wonder no longer, because we got the facts for you. Every other week, astrophysicist/folklorist, yeah, you heard that right, Dr. Moya McTeer explores fictional worlds by building them with a panel of expert guests, interviewing professional world builders, or reviewing the merits of worlds that have already been built. I've been on to talk about the Pokédex and Pokemon, and it was so much fun. You'll learn, you'll laugh, you'll get an appreciation for how special Earth really is. Check out Exolore by subscribing today wherever you get your podcasts, or go to exolorepod.com. Moya is truly one of the smartest people and most interesting people who exists on this world, and it's incredibly wonderful that we get to have her making this wonderful show here at Multitude. We are sponsored this week by Inked Gaming, where you can get gear for your home games or your gaming friends, because gamers need gear. I love that they have custom items where you can put logos, mottos, or silly inside jokes on them permanently. It's like a tattoo on your stuff, which is fun. It's merch, but for your own campaign. They work with indie artists and always pay royalties to the artists they work with, and we think that's really particularly neat. So go ahead and check out their mouse pads, their playmats, their dice bags, and the other essential gaming goods that you can only get from Inked Gaming. And just for Join the Party listeners, they've given us a special 10% off discount. They don't do this for all the podcasts. They don't do this for Mark Maron. They just do it for Join the Party. All you have to do is go to inkedgaming.com/jointheparty and use promo code JOINTHEPARTY at checkout. The discount is then automatically applied to your order. That is inkedgaming.com/jointheparty and use promo code JOINTHEPARTY at checkout. We are also sponsored today by Backblaze. They provide unlimited computer backup for Macs and PCs at just $7 a month. You can back up documents, you can back up music, you back up photos and videos and drawings, all of the data that you need to make sure does not disappear, because it's all of our lives. It's the music of our lives. It's backed up securely to the cloud, which you can access from anywhere in the world using their apps for both iOS and for Android. They have restored over 55 billion files, billion with a B, files for customers. And if you ever have a disaster and need the whole hard drive, they can send you a flash key or a hard drive restore right to your door. You can get a free, fully featured, no credit card required trial at backblaze.com/JTP. That's backblaze.com/JTP for a full featured trial. Finally, the show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes you wish that life came with a user manual. There are so many things that I wish were explained to me that are just out of reach, like how are you supposed to comfort your friend when they're having a hard time? Or how are you supposed to explain to your parents that you need to lay down boundaries without making someone upset? Or how are you supposed to create magic that don't involve pulling bones out of your body and using them as magical conduits? I just wish someone would explain it to me. Luckily, therapy is the closest thing we have to that user manual, and the easiest way to get therapy is through online therapy like BetterHelp. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist, and if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/jointheparty. That's betterhelp.com/jointheparty. And now, back to the after party.
Amanda, did you get gravy to put on these twice baked tater tots? Oh,
and
my
cheese
God.
curds?
I'm
Yeah,
so
I made
hungry.
individual cups of garbage plate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Little Dixie cups.
Oh, that's now I want that. Folks, it's not happening. I wish it was. I really wish it was.
Why are you ruining the magic, Eric?
Because I'm hungry and I wish it was real.
I have leftover poutine in my fridge that I am going to heat up when we're done. So let's wrap this up.
Oh, fuck.
I'm planning to make casserole tonight with tater tots on top. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, people, we have some game and character questions, beginning with Abby, who says, okay, wait, I just thought of something. Is Steven an anatomically correct skeleton made of only bones? Because as someone who is a physical therapy student, the thought of him being made of bones with no ligaments is more terrifying than him just being a weird magic guy.
He's a classic skeleton. He's got no ligaments.
Yeah.
No.
Honestly, wouldn't that be so scary if it was a skeleton just with ligaments?
Yeah, that would be worse.
worse.
That would be
so
more
much
body
worse.
horror.
I can't come up with that. That's some Junji Ito shit. That's not me.
Fun fact, Les has double ligaments.
That makes sense.
Horrifying.
That's what happens when you go through puberty at 8.5.
Yeah.
Well, that's also the thing. I recently watched the original Hellraiser for the first time recently, and part of the
shit.
plot is like they have to keep murdering people in order for this one guy to like gain his flesh back.
Oh.
And like so there is a lot of like different versions of like skeleton to full flesh man that they show, and I'm just like everything in between this is bad.
Happy Halloween, November 1st.
J Factorial wants to know, the recent episode with the photo finishes and Bigfoot eating fairies made me wonder if we would ever see a flash forward for the best friends, like a where are they now type situation, maybe in the final episode?
Who can
I thought it was
say?
cool.
Who can say?
I
thought
will
this was
say,
very cool.
the thing I can say, cool last name, J Factorial. I wonder where it came from.
Party
Sure
planning.
is.
It came from party planning.
The Cheese Witch _ for you, Julia, wants to know, when are they playing the ill-fated games of 7 Minutes in Heaven and Spin the Bottle at camp?
I don't know.
CIT cabin?
Oh no, that would be like too much. I feel like I was blushing listening to Les talk about Phoebe. I don't think I could handle that from a roleplay perspective.
Yeah, we're not role playing that, but assume it's happening. It's
Yes.
definitely happening.
Oh, it's certainly happening.
The problem is like it's happening at camp, but the best friends are not cool enough to get invited to those
That's
house
very
parties.
true.
Yeah.
I think they definitely call it 7 Minutes in Hell here, though. It's definitely.
Oh, for sure. Assume Dougie Juice has kissed everyone, okay?
Yeah.
Just assume Dougie Juice has kissed everybody.
And Jenny and
Ugh.
Conway just flip a coin, and heads or tails they kiss. Pretty cute.
Now,
Jesus
I
Christ.
did just imagine Dougie Juice being like, spin the bottle for me from his bed. And then when he gets somebody, he's like, come here.
Gross.
Yeah, have we ever seen him walking? I don't know.
Hey, Dougie Juice is 6'1". He can do whatever he wants, apparently.
KM says, no question, I'm just declaring I ship Phoebe and Les.
Yay!
Aw. Me too.
Can you ship something that has not subtext, but textual
You can.
observation? Is that true?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I just want to check. Okay. I also ship Phoebe and Les because I'm participating.
Aw.
And similarly, Keeks226 said, I just want to say I love and support Phoebe, and she's very special in every way. Heart, heart.
Thank you. Thank you. I also want to say, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before or not. Just assume any character I play is bisexual.
Yeah. Well, great segue, Julia, because Dice Obsession said, okay, so all of Eric's NPCs are Jewish. So what did Bigfoot's bar mitzvah look like? Was it themed? Who attended? And what was his Torah portion?
Eric, tell us.
It's incredible
Was it like
question. I feel
Leviticus?
so owned.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, you remember the thing I said, but also like, damn, you sure did get me.
You done got me.
Listen, just imagine in your own head. I don't even want to sully this beautiful question with an answer. I just like, great question.
I bet it was something from Leviticus about like sheep.
Yeah, it was one of
sheep
the
math.
counting, just one of
Yeah.
the various counting ones.
Ray Carre said, did anyone else feel kind of sorry for Frederick the Frog? He may be super mean and annoying, that's a frog fact, but he's also still a rare and mysterious magical creature of camp. Frog emoji.
No, he's manipulating little girls into thinking that they're like special and then making them do difficult, life-threatening challenges.
No, he also, we all know that slimes are beautiful human beings with feelings and passions, and he has somehow convinced this slime
That's true.
to do his bidding, and that's wrong.
Bradwick, our beautiful Bradwick. I mean, this is it's a great question. I'm glad that you felt this way because I also felt that way about Frederick the Frog a little bit myself. It's like him being a house demon. There's something going on with it or him. I forget what. I didn't want to gender Frederick the Frog. Like who fucking knows? But it's like there's something going on in this monster demon's head. That's like, not only am I a house demon, so I protect this area, but also someone's going to come in here who is the chosen one hero, and it's my responsibility to test them to make sure that's true. And like, that's so weird. this like weird amalgam of stuff happening, and of course Phoebe didn't like that and did what Phoebe had to do because he it sucks. You're going to put that on. I totally agree with Julia that like he's going to just put this on random teenage girls. Like that's wild.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. There's something going on in Frederick's head that this demon thought this, and I was always thinking about like what was Frederick doing before folks came down here? Like, what did they do? What were they? Who also had interacted with Frederick? That was definitely something I was kicking around in my head.
Traby also says, when Carrie-Anne inevitably goes through a rebellious phase, what rules will she break? And I would want to do a little round robin here. What rules do we think Carrie-Anne would break when she gets rebellious?
Oh, she's gonna stand on grass that was just seeded.
Yeah.
Steal snacks from the cafetorium without letting Springer know.
Wow.
Good.
Damn.
Good.
Go to bed like 5 minutes after lights out.
Wow.
Hell yeah, dude.
Amazing. I was going to say wear socks that are not regulation, like slightly too short or too tall.
with bold stripes on them.
Exactly. Yeah, like a slightly off camp green.
Yeah.
And now into some questions about the podcast and us as people. This one's from Ricky Yana. Not a question, but Errands 1 is one of the funniest episodes this season. I have never laughed so many times during a workout. People probably thought I was possessed.
Oh,
funny.
that's so sweet.
Thank you. We love to hear it. Ben Hoover asks, Eric, how do you decide what to give as rewards, like Phoebe's arrow, the original camper handbook, etc.?
That's a good question. For Phoebe's arrow, that was something that Phoebe had kind of looked for or wanted. And I think that there's something about like being able to give, in Monster of the Week, giving people better equipment because leveling up is so like odd and specific to the playbook itself. In terms of the handbook, I think that that was something that Carrie-Anne was looking for. For Monster of the Week specifically, I feel like I'm responding to what the move is looking for or the intention of the character during that mystery. So it's like, if you roll well enough and you figure it out, I'm not going to say, like, what did Carrie-Anne want? Carrie-Anne wanted some help. You were looking for something from the beginning of camp, like something, a pure
Archives.
distillation of what camp is.
Exactly.
And like, I'm not going to give that to you, so I wanted to come up with something that was interesting. Oh, I forgot that it was like skin bound. That was fun. I forgot about that.
Well, I did
Vellum.
say, is it made of human leather? And you said, maybe.
Some real Necronomicon shit. I would really like that one.
Miranda says, I was listening to the September after party while driving in my car and saw a license plate that just said Frosty during the part about the origin of Crudo Anaconda's name.
Ooh.
So, of course, I started singing to myself in the car.
Crudo Anaconda was a jolly, happy soul.
That's incredible.
With an eye patch a coat to fill in 3 and has a crush on Friday.
And a
That's pretty
mother complex. There you go.
Oh, yikes.
TJ says, touching on something we discussed earlier, is Charles the link between Camp-Paign 2 and the Camp-Paign? Are there purple mushrooms on the moose corpse that have animated it and given it sentience?
Oh, interesting.
Who can say?
No.
No, that's wrong.
That is a real who can say.
No, incorrect.
Buzzy B.
This is my podcast. Shut up.
Buzzy B-Boy says, I forget if someone asked this already, but what is everyone's favorite NPC so far? I don't think we have had that question yet. Julia, Brandon, what are your favorite NPCs so far?
I mean, Tater Tot is everyone's favorite, of course.
Of course.
I mean, it's Boo, but I do have a newfound love and appreciation for Springer, so
No.
yeah.
That's true. This is such a rude answer for the listeners. I loved the NPCs we met in the unrecorded first practice one-shot that we played, which actually you will learn more about soon. Hang on for that. But I loved Zev, I think, the most. I think Zev is my favorite NPC so far.
Yeah,
just
Zev
pound
was
for
really
pound of like, plot impact dialogue and just like really relating to a kid. It's Zev.
Zev is on like the Screen Rant list that's like best NPCs from one episode of the campaign. You know?
I think I'm going to say my favorite is Les's sister, Moore.
Oh, right.
It's true.
Brandon, I'm so glad that joke stuck because I just said
I
it
know.
like on a fucking whim, and now it's a thing.
When I listened to it again in the episode, I said, fuck you.
There must have been. I also love Les's whole family. Did I do an impression of your parents at one point? I must
so, did you?
have.
Yeah, you did the mom being like, Les, if you see a woman with a branch, just know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I like doing an impression. Your incredibly crunchy, outdoorsy, REI ass mom.
Mm-hmm.
Kazi, 3 kobolds in a trench coat, wanted to know, hey, Eric and team, would you ever do an evil one-shot or campaign? If not, what kinds of villains would you make for a Join the Villains? I asked because Phoebe gives off strong evil vibes in this episode.
I would fucking love to do that.
That would be fun.
And
That
you
would be
just
fun.
heard Julia's impression of Eric when Eric thinks of something super cool to do. So who can say?
I think we'll do that at one point. I mean, I really, I love threading that stuff into sometimes larger campaigns, so I'm sure we can do that at some point. I ran that for 3 Black Halflings once. On their feed, I ran a one-shot of them being villains in Lake Town City, which was super fun. And I had a bunch of like NPCs from our campaign as well. So I've done it before. It's quite silly.
That episode was great.
Yeah, maybe when we have some extra time between things, we could do like a return to Lake Town City where was I talking to you, Eric? I was talking to someone where I think it was Dimension 20 did a return to a campaign where the DM played their PCs. And
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where that's from.
I think that's a
remember that
Critical
happening.
Role thing.
Critical Role. Oh yeah, I was talking to Eric Schneider. It was Critical Role.
Yes.
And I love that idea because we could go back to LTC and our characters, our PCs could be older, like mature superheroes.
That could be fun.
And then like we play villains and like, yeah, I don't know. That could
pretty
be
good.
fun.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
really enjoyable. I love playing evil characters. As we can tell, a lot of my like one-shot characters have been kind of evil. Not
Yeah.
fully evil, but
Yeah.
kind of evil.
We could challenge the Big Super, Little Super program graduates to like a throwdown.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. You guys fighting teen
Yeah.
superheroes.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And then you have like Multi-Tool and Val and Killanova on the sidelines being like, "You're left, you're left." Fuck.
Ah, shit. Oh, that's funny.
Master of None says, Eric, it seems like you've been creating more space and opportunities for everyone to take the reins. Is this more a reflection of your GM style growing and changing, or a difference between Monster of the Week and D&D?
Interesting.
Very good observation.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a difference between Monster of the Week and D&D. There's a lot of stuff that like you have to tell me the action you're going to do before you do the move on your play book. So I literally need to ask you, like, what does this look like before we can even entertain? Like, that's just from the game system. And again, I've talked about this a bunch, but like it's really important to see the differences between game systems and how that reflects in play and in storytelling. This is something that I think that I'm pretty good at in terms of like tabletop RPG podcasts. So it's something I really always want to do. Is
We
try to turn
agree.
over-
We
Thank you.
agree.
Is try to turn over as much as possible to the players so folks feel invested. Like our world building games, I didn't realize how revolutionary it was back in Campaign 1 when I asked all of you during that one episode about like how everyone's doing.
Yes.
But it's something that I really like doing, and hopefully we can keep like the spirit of this going if we return to a game that doesn't have this stuff baked into the game system.
Hell yeah.
Who can say?
Who can say?
And a final question before we get into the future of the Camp-Paign and how this will all come to a conclusion. Paul most recently asked, but others have asked as well, if we had to translate the best friends into D&D characters, what classes do we think they would be?
I think very easily Phoebe is probably a warlock.
Sure.
Yes.
I like that.
Given her relationship with Chuck, it probably got to be a warlock.
That's interesting. You can throw some like forest vibes in there as like you taking this from the spirit of the forest.
Yeah.
I think that's
Do you think
that's
not
very
a
cool.
paladin?
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, because I guess you get your powers from like nature.
I think Carrie Ann feels like a paladin. She feels like a fucking uptight
hell
jerk
yeah.
who's enforcing law and order only.
That incredibly correct, Amanda.
100%. Who's your like in D&D terms? What's your like god? Like your I know it's camp, but like what? Does it have to have like a deity, Eric? I forget what paladin.
Yeah,
has
with
to be.
that's what Dungeons and Dragons tells you to do for clerics and for paladins. That like you gotta, it's your magic comes from like your Well, for paladins specifically, they come from
You're
your
like a holy
devotion.
knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like more of a holy knight, so you can do it
Pledge.
from some of these paladins are from ideals as well.
Yeah. I think pledging fealty to director of camp is the way.
That
Love
can be
it.
cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is the way.
Which is essentially the playbook I already have, but yes.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, like obviously, like fighter would work well. I mean, what do y'all think? I don't know.
I feel like Les is like an inquisitive rogue, maybe? Like one of the like not stealing things, but like mastermind or inquisitive.
That could work.
Rogue is really interesting because Les is only really good. Sorry, I'm not going to say this meanly. I mean this truly. Les is really good at like only two things, which is like figuring shit out about monsters and running really fast.
Yeah.
And that feels very similar to Rogues, how they're like really only good at two things.
Especially the like investigator flavor of rogue. You can have like really kind of detective bent on your rogue.
Yeah, so that plus like your incredibly high dexterity that makes a lot of sense for Les.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm into that. Never played a rogue, so
Maybe a future campaign.
So sneak attack works like this.
And our final question of the day, Evity wants to know, how many future episodes have you already recorded?
All of them.
Good question.
Eric, tell us what's coming up.
Yeah, I can 100% say how many episodes we have because we've recorded the remaining episodes of the campaign.
What?
Plus, you were there, you know.
What?
Plus some episodes of the next campaign.
What?
So, to answer the specific question, we've recorded 5 episodes of the campaign, the remaining 5 episodes of the campaign, plus 2 more episodes that are coming out far in the future. So, Evity, to answer your question specifically, it's 7. However, I want to be clearer about what our calendar looks like going forward, right? So, next week, on November 8th is the first episode of the next mystery, the Camp-Paign episode 16. Then the week after that is Camp-Paign 17, the second episode of that mystery. We're then doing an after party in between because of the way that after parties are split, because we have 5 story episodes left. So that's going to be on November 22nd. So we haven't recorded that yet because we need your questions.
Yes.
Then after that, we have 3 finale episodes, our final mystery of Monster of the Week of the campaign. Episode 18, 19, and 20 are on successive weeks, November 29th, December 6th, and December 13th. That will be the finale episodes. And then we have a after party at the end of camp, which is on December 20th.
Woo!
Guys, it's to do a candle lighting and locking ceremony.
As we
Go
go
on, we remember.
this is our
All the
holiday
camp
times, our winter times gift to y'all.
It's finishing the campaign so everyone feels resolved.
Yeah.
Camps together.
If you don't retain information well auditorily, don't worry. I've already made graphics and I have posted them to our socials. So please check that out for you to see the end of the campaign schedule. After that, like I said, we've already recorded episodes of the next campaign, of Campaign 3.
Wee.
We're very excited about it. We're not sure if we're going to go right into Campaign 3 or we're going to do something in like a month of stuff in between. So of something a little bit more fun, a little bit less fiction to give our editors a little bit of a break. I think it'll be fun, but we haven't decided yet. But we know what we're doing. We 100% know what we're doing next.
There's an epic Campaign 3, and we know our characters, and we know our mission, and God, I can't wait.
It's tight as hell. So after that episode on December 27th, we'll tell you more about this in the finale after party.
And I know you I know this isn't what it sounded like, but our editors meets me and Julia. So
That's true.
We need to sleep.
We would like naps, please.
I would like to nap.
I also need time to write a theme song. So
Oh, that's
true.
right. Good point. But I have a very good idea. I've already suggested this, and I think we're going to do it. I have a very good idea of what we're doing immediately after the campaign as well. So, like, we have an idea. It just depends if we're going to go right into Campaign 3 or we're going to do this thing for, like, a month before we do that.
You know how lifters never skip leg day? We never skip a Tuesday. We're not skipping a Tuesday at all, people. You're going to get new Join the Party every single Tuesday from now until, certainly we plan until the end of 2023. So
Till we die.
you got lots coming. Don't worry.
have you seen our calves? They're perfect.
So thick.
They're
Cut.
jacked.
They're cut.
They're pokeable.
They could cut glass. Ugh.
Oh, no, I don't want that.
All right, people. Any final thoughts, feelings, questions, concerns, or shall we bid the fine folks here a good evening?
I have all the feelings, but we don't have to dwell on them.
No,
I
it's
want to
fine.
say my favorite episodes of the campaign are yet to come. Shit's bets pop off. I can't wait. It's so good, and I think you guys are going to really love how the story concludes.
Yeah, I'm glad you all are enjoying it. Thanks for listening.
I can't even say what my favorite episode is. The ones coming up, I'm very excited about, but I'm like, do I like it more than The Woods? Do I like it more than Crudo Anaconda? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a big question, but it's been really satisfying. I hope all of you feel satisfied by the way that this 20 episode campaign has been coming together, and working with this story like it feels like a TV season has been really fun for me, and I hope that it comes together a little bit better than maybe some finales of TV shows you've seen in the past.
We're sticking the landing, people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it now.
We're just going to kill Les and he's going to be an angel?
Yeah.
Is that what happened at the end of Supernatural?
Angel or demon, who can say?
Who knows?
Phoebe will say that she has feelings for Les, and then he will completely ignore that she said that.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric and Amanda, that was a Supernatural.
No, I got
That
that.
was
I
a
knew that.
Supernatural.
That's what I knew. Carrie Ann's going to walk into a restaurant and then it's going to be an immediate blackout.
I do have one final unrelated thing to anything we've talked about that I want to say.
Yeah.
If you're in the U.S., go vote. Go vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do it.
Oh,
Cast
that's
your ballot
right.
now.
That's right. I forgot. This is coming out on Halloween Extended.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely do that.
Also,
all right.
all of us were together for our wedding and it went really well.
Yeah,
did. It was great.
Thanks, guys.
It's
It was
fun.
really cute.
It's fun.
Really cute. All right, folks. Well, until next time,
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Later.
may your rolls trend ever upward. Or if they don't, it's fine because the Monster of the Week is really good. Okay, bye.
If your rolls are bad, it actually creates a better story. So
Okay,
it's fine.
bye,
So it's
bye,
fine.
It's fine. Bye. Bye. Bye.
So ignore what we said. It's fine. Let me bring up the Monster Mash because I wrote it out clearer on there, and my notes for this were absolute garbage.
I
It
was
was a
working
mash.
in the lab late one night.
It was a mash.
With my eyes.
It was a mash.
They did the monster mash. Rap for daddy.
Rap for daddy. Okay. Yeah. So I'm ready.
Shock the body. Shock the body.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.